I want you to follow me into the depths of oblivion, where truth is obscured and reality is blurred. We're blinded by the veil, but I remain undeterred. Chasing knowledge with pleasure, I grasp at the light. With memories my treasure, I summon EVERNIGHT. By far and away, one of the most popular characters ever to release in Honkai Star Rail, the mirror image to the innocence of March 7th, with the attitude and personality all her own. A protector, a twin, and an antagonist who soloed the entire cast of the Amphoreus story and taking the entire world hostage by herself, wiping out an entire army of memo keepers and memo snatchers and turning them into her toys and horrific weapons, with Nilux's now MIA informants most likely also getting caught in the crossfire, never to return from their mission. But that of course is all besides the point, because with the return of Amphoreus, we are seeing countless possibilities rise to the surface, with one possibility that I believe that we have all quite fittingly forgotten: the return of EVERNIGHT. And I do not mean a return as in March calling on her powers, no. We saw that in plain Arcadia. What I mean is EVERNIGHT getting her own body to live alongside March 7th. A reality that becomes even more probable and possible with the return of Amphoreus. And let me tell you, this is of course backed up with evidence and even aeonic foreshadowing. This is very much a theory about the Enigmata, but there is no Enigmata in this theory, because this is the new dawn of EVERNIGHT explained. Okay, so with the return of Amphoreus, as Hoyo is heavily teasing with the recent return of the Chrysosairs in the Fate collab story, the anniversary story where we get to talk to all of them, and also the IPC broadcast that explicitly mentions the progress the world is making, we know that it's only a matter of time and sooner rather than later. But an underlying plot point here that has to be addressed is that Herta is pulling the world from the memory zone Cyrene created, and she is specifically recreating the world from the final cycle. This specific fact is said twice, once by the IPC and once by Herta herself. And this is a very important detail because this is the cycle where the Chrysosairs were not humans. They, including Dan Heng, March, and the Trailblazer, were all Titans. And this is because the Titans are paramount to Amphoreus. They uphold the rules of the world, and the world cannot exist without them, or someone upholding the authority of the Titans. So the easy fix is just letting our Chrysosairs be the Titans and give them the forms that they already had when they take human form, and let that be their normal base form. But the problem is that there will be 3 Titans that will be unaccounted for: World-bearing, Time, and Earth. Trailblazer, March, and Dan Heng. 3 people that can't be the Titans because we already exist in reality and we're not linked to Amphoreus anymore. And it would be really awkward if Amphoreus became real and we just got roped back into being the Titans. I mean, being connected to a specific world cannot be a part of the Trailblaze. We're kind of connected to all worlds equally. It's the same reason why Dan Heng cut ties with the Shanzhou, and the same reason why Himiko left plain Arcadia. Being a Trailblazer quite literally means leaving your past behind all the time, and being a Titan of Amphoreus wouldn't be us doing that. However, this is fixable, because we already know that Phynon is compatible with the world-bearing Titan role, and Terravox is compatible with the Earth Titan role, but that leaves the authority of time blank. There is no one to take on the authority of time. Cyrene is the Demiurge. She is the 13th Titan. She can't be time anymore. So there is only one person remaining who has taken the authority of time and become a demigod with that core flame: EVERNIGHT. I mean, heck, her name is a reference to the Amphoreus 3rd month. She is the March of Amphoreus. The Flame Chase journey both starts and ends in the month of EVERNIGHT. EVERNIGHT must become the Time Titan. She is linked in every way to this world, and she now serves as the only missing piece that I think will complete Amphoreus. She will bring time to Amphoreus, and this makes so much sense. Hear me out. Because we already know that just like March separated herself from EVERNIGHT and she became a jellyfish, we now know that EVERNIGHT can do the same with probably better results. And we know well enough already that she can body swap because
That you have a beautiful Dharmakaya. It fits me very much. will personally plant myself into your heart. And once I've calmed down those two, I will head into reality and find the true you.
Yeah, just ask Black Swan. So, what if Herta, in an effort to resurrect the Eternal Land, creates a body for EVERNIGHT to inhabit so that EVERNIGHT can be the Time Titan? She can fulfill that empty role. And EVERNIGHT simply leaves the depths of March's mind to inhabit that body, that Dharmakaya. This would solve the issue. We already know well enough already that she can kind of form her own body under the right circumstances to talk to March. We saw her do that, so actually inhabiting another body should be nothing to her. And what better way to protect a person so precious to her than to live alongside her? Something she has already done in the trailer and in the Myriad Celestia. But Nova, Hoyo wouldn't do that. Well, let me tell you a story. Humor me for a second. Once upon a time, there is an innocent girl wearing blue and white, and she is born into a harsh world. So harsh and violent that a second self spawns from her inner power and protects her when she needs it the most, coddling her and defending her from the depths of her subconscious, only surfacing in the most desperate of times. Gentle to the one that she cares about, but straight up sadistic to literally everyone who threatens her. And she is content with this life, placing more value in the delicate self and allowing her to control the body. Then one day, she is granted the opportunity to leave this prison that she has voluntarily confined herself in and has grown content in fading away in, to live alongside this precious self that she has protected for years. Not a bad story, right? Well, that is not March 7's story that I just made up for the sake of supporting my argument. This is a story that Hoyo has already written. That is the story of Veliona, a manifestation of Seele's desperation and self-preservation. A second self that has now become her own person, who now lives as her twin. And it's adorable. They're near inseparable to this day. And just looking at the way March 7th is portrayed with EVERNIGHT and Veliona with Seele, the similarities are uncanny. But my point is, Amphoreus as a whole is very similar to the Elysian realm of Honkai Impact 3rd, and EVERNIGHT's existence, premise, and concept are all nearly identical to Veliona, even down to the colors, blue and white, red and black. But I would be lying if I told you that this is all I had. Because what if I told you that EVERNIGHT needs to become her own person? And I say this because of the way that March refers to her.
No worries. If anything goes wrong, the friend in my head will protect me.
She calls her the friend in my head. She doesn't call her my second self or my other self. She sees EVERNIGHT already as her own person that just lives in her head. So the foundations are already laid, but let's look at this from another perspective. Because we got a huge lore drop from guess who? Our favorite navigator's navigator, I see, Assad Pramod, who tells us that people call us Akavili because we are the successor of Akavili, and we are becoming the main focus of the path of the Trailblaze.
They call you Akavili because not only are you the successor, but at the core level, you are becoming the focus of the path of the Trailblaze. This isn't imitation, it's the path itself responding naturally to the absence of its god. You are not them yet, but you are headed in that direction.
We aren't Akavili yet, but the writing is on the wall. And if this is true, and if this is all the case, and if Amphoreus is the microcosm of the cosmos, the Trailblazer, March, and Dan Heng will all ascend into aeons. Akavili is very much obvious. We've been called Akavili for a long time, and even from Noose and Nihilux and many others. Dan Heng is already playing Avatar, master of all elements of Cloud Hymn magic, and is probably going to become Long the Permanence. And then there is our adorable little March, who represents all that Fu Li is. A pure child of Anasrava, already equipped to ascend into the Aeon at the end of the universe. She was born from Fu Li to become Fu Li. But something we have already gotten teased on many occasions is that Mythos of the Enigmata also finds their origin in Fu Li. And the Aeons are represented in near identical ways. The Memoria, the Dream Bubbles and Memory Bubbles, the Jellyfish Calling Card, Mythos having the ability to be inside of the Eden of Blessed Insight, Fu Li's own memory zone in the simulated universe, seemingly protecting it from the Trailblazer. And on top of all of that, they spoke simultaneously to Cyrene when she was gazed at by Fu Li. Remember, Oblivion is Enigmata, so that is Mythos talking at the same time as Fu Li. But if you split these two sentences apart and read them apart from each other, it all makes perfect sense. Listen to this. On the left, we have Fu Li, who ascended from a pure child of Anasrava and the child of deities. Fu Li cast to the mortal realm for blessings. And the verses written by your hand, Cyrene, writing as I've written, were my remembrance in the Eden of Blessed Insight. That's literally Fu Li talking to their daughter. But on the right, we have Mythos, who, if they are like EVERNIGHT, isn't the progeny of Fu Li. That stays with March when they split up, fallen to the mortal realm for sins, because she is the dark side, the opposite of the innocence and the blessings that March 7th represents. The verses erased by my hand shall be my oblivion in the Eden of Blessed Insight. Erasing things is what the Enigmata does, and it is the solution that EVERNIGHT came up with in trying to protect March. Erase everything from the scepter besides the Trailblazer and Dan Heng.
The only way for a world that can't be turned back to be considered flawless is to burn it with a raging fire until nothing remains.
You plan to destroy all the memories Cyrene has ever recorded?
That's right.
It all lines up, even down to Mythos ascending from Fu Li. EVERNIGHT came from March, and once she gets her own body, she can then have the capability to ascend into her own Aeon, identical to Fu Li in all abilities since she is still March's twin, but with a power and concept all her own. This is why Fu Li and Mythos overlap so much. This is why they have the same jellyfish symbols. This is why Mythos can be found inside of Fu Li's pure land of recollection. And this is why they speak at the same time. They are identical twins. So no matter how you look at it, EVERNIGHT is part of Amphoreus, and she has her own identity outside of March, meaning that she can split herself from March if she really wants to. And she is entirely compatible with Amphoreus due to being the bearer of the core flame of time. She is the month of EVERNIGHT, the beginning and the end of the flame chase, and she is the final missing piece in the puzzle of reconstructing Amphoreus. And this is all fitting too because we forgot about her and who she is. This is the most Enigmata thing ever. EVERNIGHT just erased herself from all our memories, but now she's back, and I know she's coming back. But it's through her connection to Amphoreus that she will be able to live alongside the person she loves and cares the most about, bringing the most perfect and most romantic ending to our story of the Eternal Land. Because this is the new dawn of EVERNIGHT Explained. I can't get over how fitting it is that we just all happen to forget about how intertwined EVERNIGHT is with all of Amphoreus, and if there has to be someone that takes over the concepts of Amphoreus, we need someone to control time. And there is nobody better to do this than the lady named after the Amphoreus month. We have so much to look forward to with the return of Amphoreus because there are so many unanswered questions and plot points that need their true endings. We know that this is not the end for EVERNIGHT in March, and I can't help but think that EVERNIGHT is going to become her own person. A person who will ascend to Aeonhood as Mythos the Enigmata right alongside Fu Li the Remembrance. This is truly a tale of twin Aeons. But what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace, y'all.